We're with Sheriff Mark Wasylyshyn. We're talking about people that live in rural areas that are aging, and we're talking about driving and firearms. And you mentioned that driving was maybe the most dangerous in your eyes, but a lot of people have a lot of guns. Talk about that. How do you intervene in that case?
Well, I think the same as any other situation. I think it's important to talk to the family doctor on how cognizant and are there dementia issues, memory issues with the person that's elderly. Can they still make decisions? How are they acting on day-to-day life on how they're living? And that's something the family members should be able to see the deterioration and finally go, you know what, they're maybe having anger issues or their personality's changing. I think that's the time to have a heart-to-heart and maybe convincing them that it may not be a good idea to have the guns in here, and maybe using another excuse of saying, hey, you know what, your grandson is interested in hunting, can he have these guns? Or have a reason why there might be a family member that could use those guns instead of them having it. And I think that would help if they feel like, oh, I'm helping someone else by getting rid of these guns.
Talk to me about having the gun secured. I'm not that familiar with all firearms and weapons, so talk to me about gun security.
Well, there are very inexpensive gun locks that are easy to use, and also some work on a key, some work on a combination. And that also may be a good idea if the loved one wants to have the gun in the house. Maybe putting a gun lock on it and having it locked, that maybe they'll know they still own the gun, they still possess the gun, but they can't use the gun. That might be a way, depending on the personality of the individual situations of that. But I definitely, all guns should be locked when they're not in use, especially when other people have access to the house. If they have grandchildren or great-grandchildren coming over, I want to be careful that a curious child doesn't stumble across the gun not knowing it's real.
I'm going to give you my personal feeling. I'd like you to weigh in on this. Okay. I always felt that the chance of me waking up in the middle of the night and reacting to something, having a live gun maybe by my bedside or something, and being a hero, there was more chance of an accident than me ever doing that. What's your feeling on that?
Well, you're right that it shouldn't be right next to your bed. Many studies that I've read and over my career, it's very important to have the gun like across the room or a ways away from the bed, so you're awake when you deal with a gun. If it's right next to the bed, you might be dreaming, you're groggy, you're not awake yet. So it's very important. And maybe if you even have the gun and the ammo in two different locations, they could still be in your bedroom or bedroom and bathroom that are nearby. So if there is someone that broke into the house, you can quickly get the gun. But if you have to manually load the gun, do some things, you're going to be awake and realize I'm not dreaming and what is the situation. Very important, as always, know what you're shooting at. You know, if you just see a shadow there, there's so many tragic stories of it being a loved one, where it's a child that's coming home late or another relative coming in. Those are all things that are serious.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Joyful Aging Messages. Wood County Sheriff Mark Wasylyshyn with Rick and Jackie.